Well, there's certainly no pressure on me as I now stand between all of you and drink, so I'll do my best as a warm-up act for Nick. Another admission, I'm not an engineer, but I hesitate to say that I used to be a planner, so that makes me slightly less popular than most other people in the room today. It's also very unusual to be in a room when so many people are talking about you. That normally goes on when you're not in the room, but today it's been while people are in the room. But it's good to see we're obviously making some sort of impact because there's some attention on us at the moment. Good afternoon, and I will be brief so that you can get to the reception. Now, while I wasn't able to make the start of the conference today, for reasons which I will tell you about in a minute, I've been asked to make some concluding remarks on behalf of the sponsors on what I believe is yet again a highly successful event. I can't promise that every time we have one of these events, the Cabinet will make their way to the region and we'll have economic issues and challenges and so on all on the same day. But nevertheless, I think this has been an excellent conference, and I think it's about the fifth that we've had now. So thank you to NEEF and to everyone else who's organised this. I think it's also been heartening that so many senior politicians, businesses and key decision makers have been together in the region today to debate our future as a low-carbon economy and to hear about the very positive progress that we're making on this ambitious agenda. And I would emphasise that because I think at times today some people have suggested we're just making a start on this, and I think we've been at this as a region for about 10 years now. It's difficult, but we haven't just started. While it is very clearly positive that the North East economy has moved back into growth in the last quarter of last year, the concerns surrounding Chorus that have been talked about today and will be talked about tomorrow as well do show us that it's still a bit fragile at the moment, this recovery. It needs to be consolidated, and that we all have to work hard to consolidate that economic performance in the region and indeed nationally. I mean, I have a very personal interest in Chorus in that I've been chairman of the Chorus Response Group for about 8 to 10 months now or more, working very closely with management and unions at Chorus, with local authorities and other partners in the Tees Valley in order to provide the maximum level of help to those workers who are now affected. Although for about 8 months or so, our key aim was to try and keep the business going as a viable business. And clearly in mothballing, people will still be trying to do that. We have also, though, together with government, pledged a £60 million package of investment for the area over the next 2 years, with as much immediate action as we possibly put into place. Now, this will support the Tees Valley to do all of the things that we've been talking about today, to move towards low-carbon and advanced manufacturing industries, creating jobs and new opportunities for local people sooner rather than later. Measures include, in the short term, tailored apprenticeship schemes, business startup support and bursaries, as well as a concentrated effort on retaining major process businesses in the area. And I know that Lord Mandelson visited the Artenia site today, where a Korean company, Lotte Chemicals, I think that's how you pronounce it, major international company from Korea, have taken over that plant. So a major focus of this Tees Valley Industrial Programme, which we kicked off about 4 weeks ago, will be to remove any barriers to investment so that it becomes a priority location for low-carbon industries from right across the globe. So I don't think we've wasted any time, and government hasn't wasted any time in moving quickly here. I do have a good reason for missing the start of today's conference. It was a pass-out from the Prime Minister, which is not often that you do get that sort of excuse, and it's true as well, by the way, and also Ed Miliband, so I got 2 pass-outs this morning. I had the pleasure, first thing this morning, of joining the Prime Minister and senior Cabinet members at the Neptune Yard in Walker, which I know very well from my days at Newcastle City Council, to announce the opening of a new manufacturing facility for wind turbine blades. So that's a real announcement today. The factory will be open and ready for business in the last quarter of this year, making wind turbines that are about 75 metres long. So that's real business. I'm sure you've already heard from the chairman who was here today, and he was also there on site, that the Shepherd Offshore Renewable Energy Park, bit of a mouthful, but that's what we're calling it now, has been chosen by Clipper as the location for this new facility. It's real confidence in the North East by one of the leading names in this growing sector. And when I spoke to the chairman of the company, who's been in the business for 30 years in America, he really spoke very positively about what we're doing here in the North East, but he's also made a hard-headed business decision to set up his business here because it offers unparalleled opportunities. 500 jobs will be available in this plant over time. And as national and international demand for wind turbines grows, and others have given you some of these statistics today, forecasters expect as many as 14,000 jobs could eventually come to the North East as a whole on all of our rivers. We've worked closely as an agency with Shepherd Offshore to secure this major deal, with the ongoing support of Regional Minister Nick Brown, who'll be speaking to you in a minute. On a personal level, today's decision is particularly rewarding. During my time in economic development at Newcastle City Council in the early 1980s, I worked with the Shepherds then and with Nick Brown, David Crammond, one of my directors who worked with me at that time as well, and other local partners to start developing the River Tyne for offshore oil and gas businesses. And they're still thriving today with companies like Duco and Wellstream and others. So it's really terrific for me on an individual, on a personal basis, to see the banks of the Tyne and other rivers, as they will develop as well, now entering a further exciting phase in its industrial and technological renaissance. So it's happening here, it's happening now, and we did start this work about 10 years ago. And in many ways, I think today's announcement encompasses much of what we've been debating today. How does the North East evolve to make the transition from one kind of industry to another? We're in that transition now, and we all need to roll up our sleeves and get on with it. On the back of this, how do we create real jobs now for people who need them, but also sustainable jobs for the future? How do we forge effective partnerships between public, private, political and academic sectors to make the bold decisions needed to make change happen? And these do require bold decisions, often at times when others are not quite as alert to the opportunities as they are now. We may not have all the answers yet, but I know that the public and private sectors in the North East have a shared ambition and the determination to succeed through our strong partnership approach. Perhaps unusually, they'll say this anyway, I'd also like to pay a tribute to some of my own staff. There are a number of directors here today who've worked extremely hard through the recession and really know how to put these things together in a way that I could never do as the Chief Executive. And finally, just to say that the Neptune Yard's rebirth from shipyard to wind turbine site symbolises the very real promise and something that's happening here today that the low-carbon economy holds for our region. Thank you very much.